Hey.
Hey.
This is Derek, and you're listening to Skepticality, an official podcast of the Skeptic Society for Friday, December 31st, 2010.
Welcome to the last Skepticality of 2010, and on New Year's Eve at that.
Yep.
I'm Swoopy, and to my left is my co-host Derek Colanduno.
That's me.
And we just spent another year bringing you news and interviews with scientists and skeptics from around the world and all walks of life for the promotion of critical thinking and
science! Ta-da!
So, have you resolved anything for 2011?
Have I? I don't know. I think I'm working on getting fat again.
Is that a resolution?
I don't know.
That's good. See, Richard Wiseman, he studied resolutions, and he says if you make them more vague, then you'll be more successful. So if you said, I want to be 10 pounds fatter, and you ended up either 9 or 11 pounds fatter, you'd fail. But if you just said you wanted to get fatter, and you did, at all, even 1 pound, then you accomplished your resolution.
I think it's possible. I could actually gain weight.
Do you know what I think New Year's Eve needs?
What?
A little monkey news.
Oh, okay. What do we got?
Do you live in Illinois? Well, we don't, thankfully, because if you do live in Illinois and you're thinking about getting a pet monkey in 2011, you need to think again. New laws start January 1st that ban residents in the state of Illinois from owning primates. The law keeps you from owning chimps, gorillas, monkeys, and orangutans, and if you already have a primate, you're okay as long as it's registered with local animal control officials. Therapy monkeys are exempt from the new law, and the new law also allows zoos, circuses, and science labs to get new primates.
Hold on, you said therapy monkey?
Therapy monkey.
Oh, I never heard about this.
I'm going to get you one.
There's a therapy monkey?
It's going to help you with your fat goals. So, before we say goodbye to 2010, here's Tim Farley with a year-end skeptic history.
It's time to spend a few minutes in skeptic history for the end of 2010. I'm Tim Farley of whatstheharm.net. Each edition, we look into history to see if we can learn something about science and skepticism. One of the ways I research skeptic history is to simply pay attention to news events of interest to skeptics. Today's news story is next year's skeptic history. Since this is the last podcast of 2010, I thought I might go over the events from this year that I've added to my files for future use. Homeopathy was in the news all year, beginning with the first 1023 campaign mass overdose, which took place simultaneously in several cities around the world on January 30th. That was just the beginning of homeopathy's problems this year. The British government issued an evidence check report on homeopathy on February 22nd. The gist of it was because the scientific evidence for homeopathy is almost non-existent, government support for the practice and research into it should cease. This was followed by many calls to remove homeopathy from the NHS, which did happen in some jurisdictions such as Scotland, but not universally. In a telling move, the Royal London Homeopathic Hospital changed its name to the Royal London Hospital for Integrated Medicine on September 16th. Finally, mired in a fraud scandal, Prince Charles' alternative medicine charity, the Foundation for Integrated Health, announced it would close its doors on April 30th. On April 1st, author Simon Singh won a crucial appeal involving the interpretation of the word bogus. This was closely followed by the British Chiropractic Association completely dropping their libel suit against him on April 15th. Libel reform efforts gained much support this year, due in part to Singh's case. It was not a good year for anti-vaccine cranks either. On February 2nd, The Lancet fully retracted the 1998 paper by Andrew Wakefield, which began the modern anti-MMR vaccine hysteria. This was closely followed by a GMC investigation revoking Wakefield's medical license in England on May 24th. In the United States, a special federal court for vaccine injury disputes ruled on March 12th that mercury and vaccines are conclusively not a cause of autism, and parents claiming that would not be compensated. On October 14th, the U.S. FDA warned marketers of over-the-counter chelation therapy products, often promoted by anti-vaccine autism cranks, to cease making unwarranted claims. In Australia, the Australian skeptics maintained their public pressure on Meryl Dorey's Australian Vaccination Network, and on July 26, the New South Wales government issued a warning about the organization after concluding in a report they were misleading the public. On October 20th, the AVN was stripped of its charity status by another government agency. Both of these investigations originated with complaints filed by skeptics. Several other government and regulatory rulings have been pro-skeptic this year. On July 30th, the U.S. FDA warned the public about Miracle Mineral Supplement, MMS, which has been making the rounds in alt-med circles. This warning led directly to some excellent grassroots activism in England by teenager Rice Morgan, who was given an award at TAM London for his efforts in the so-called Bleachgate. On October 28th, the U.S. FTC banned the makers of the notorious Kanoki Detox foot pads from selling that product and a variety of others, and issued a fine that was equal to the entire net sales of the foot pads. Finally, again after relentless pressure by the Australian skeptics and others, the makers of the fraudulent Power Balance wristbands were forced to issue refunds and post a disclaimer on their website in which they admit there is no evidence the product actually works on December 22nd. A number of familiar skeptical personalities and organizations had historic milestones this year. Rachel Dunlop of the Skeptic Zone won the Shorty Award for Health Information on Twitter on March 3rd, despite voting shenanigans by several alt-med nominees. Paul Kurtz, a founder of both PsyCop and CFI, resigned his position in the organizations on May 18th. Phil Plate's long-awaited super-secret TV project, Bad Universe, premiered in the U.S. on August 29th. And the amazing meeting was held in 3 different countries for the first time this year, with the second TAM London beginning on October 16th, and the first TAM Australia on November 26th. We lost a number of supporters of skepticism this year, most notably the venerable Martin Gardner, who died May 22nd. Among the others we lost were Robert S. Minton, a critic of Scientology, Helen Kagan, a co-founder of Camp Quest, Charles B. Moore, the scientist who built the balloon misidentified as a UFO in Roswell, Michael Thalborn, the Australian parapsychologist, Bob McCoy, the creator of the Museum of Quackery, Steve Schneider, a prominent climate scientist, Jack Horkheimer, a popularizer of astronomy, Jeffrey Crawley, a debunker of the Cottingley Ferry photos, Charles Reynolds, a magician who helped debunk Uri Geller, David Alexander, a magician and Skeptic Society board member, and Dennis Dutton, a philosopher and founder of the New Zealand Skeptics. Well, that's it for this year-end wrap-up. Links to additional material will be provided in the show notes. If you enjoy Skeptic History, then follow me on Twitter, Facebook, or FriendFeed under the name Krelnick, Krelnik. I post a new Skeptic History item every day.
Well, that's it for us for this New Year's Eve, but we'll be back with more Skepticality on our regular schedule after the new year.
Join our discussion forums at www.skepticality.com. Leave feedback by email at feedback@skepticality.com or by phone at area code 206-888-HOAX. That's 206-888-4629. This has been Skepticality. Thanks for listening.